Um, Arsenal obviously picked up. I know we spoke about Spurs earlier, but Arsenal picked up a win, and I am seeing the typical response of, "Well, you won the game, but you should do because Spurs are rubbish." But all week the build-up, Giuseppe, was if you don't win this game, league title over. Arsenal win it, and now it's no big deal. Talk to me.
Yeah, listen, it's the it's the standard Arsenal treatment. We win, and there's always something about the win. Now it was, but that you won ugly. We won comfortably, mate. That's all I can say. We won comfortably. Why do we have to do something that we don't have to do to win a game? We knew that we could go there. We were missing two of our main midfielders, and I'm sorry, any team in the Premier League losing two key midfielders like that, plus having another one already injured, it's gonna affect you in a big game like this, right? Man City, as a example, if they got an injury to Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri, and then they had Manchester United at Old Trafford in that game, it's going to affect the game, and they're going to have to look and say, and City have probably got a bit, not probably, they've got a better squad than us anyway. So to think that we won ugly and people saying, oh, this and that about Arsenal's win is just stupid. I think Tottenham fans are actually like trying to make themselves feel better about the game when they say stuff like, we gave them respect. I think if anything, we gave them no respect. We knew Arteta just was like, these guys are crap. We can go there, we can sit back and we'll still beat these guys. I think that the game itself, I thought was a good performance. I think that the midfield wasn't maybe as good as we would have liked. I thought Trossard was good in there in the 10, but we're missing players and we didn't have to do much to win the game. It shows how much we've developed and how good our defense is, definitely away from home. Like that stat, 3 conceded in the last 11 away games. And we've had City away in there as well. Just one shows how bloody good City are, because that record is unreal, as City still ended up winning the league last year. And we're still behind City this year. So it just shows how good City are when you can have defensive records like that away from home and win rates away from home.
I read something today based on, I think it's 23 games for Arsenal and 24 league games for Man City. In the calendar year, both Arsenal and City are tracking towards 104 and 105 points respectively. And I suppose this is the point here. You know, Arsenal's current win rate, their away record, the lack of goals being conceded. Do you still feel, I know that you don't do this, Nobbins, but do you still feel like there's a lack of respect put towards this Arsenal team because they haven't lifted the Premier League yet? When you actually look at their record, their win percentage, and how phenomenal they have been away from home.
Yeah, there's no doubting, there's no dispute, there's no doubting that Arsenal are an elite team with an elite manager. I think I would like to say I'm one of those people who does give Arsenal the due credit that they deserve. The main issue from most outsiders looking in is most people won't really give them those plaudits until, and maybe rightly so long term, until they win one of the two main trophies, i.e. Champions League or a Premier League. That's obviously going to be the main question mark. You know, can you overcome Pep City? Because there's not many people have done that. Klopp obviously did it with Liverpool, for example. That's going to be the key sticking point. And in terms of that record, it's like 103, 104 points. Like, it's mental. Obviously, just like goes to show the standards that we're at now in the Premier League, and it echoes that point of you've almost, and Tom will know this more than anyone else, you've got to be borderline perfect to if City are on it anyway, you've got to be borderline perfect to beat Pep City to the title, unless City are not on it in a particular season. And I guess the Spurs game is probably a really good dress rehearsal from an Arsenal perspective, because we all know how Arsenal are going to play against City, regardless of injuries or suspensions. You know, they came to us with a full strength team last year, and they played that, and they were totally well within their rights to do that. I expect to be a similar thing on Sunday, I think it is, we play them, isn't it? So, yeah, big game for them, to be honest. I know it's early days, but if let's hypothetical they lose, that's 5 points dropped in 5 games, is it? I think that's the maths on that. Which is early days, obviously, but every point matters when you're against Pep City, yeah. But yeah, credit to Arsenal. Great team, of course.
Yeah, I think that's why that Arsenal fans started getting a bit a bit stressed after the Brighton game, because it's really one of the games in there that you wouldn't really want to drop points in, knowing we've got how good City have started the season. Obviously, with City starting the season as they have, that's why I'm so entertained going into this game on the weekend, because I think you've got that Arsenal defensive record away versus this current goal scoring frenzy that Haaland's on. So it's really going to be interesting. And
I want to throw a stat on that. Sorry to interject when you're talking. The stats, the current goal scoring rate he's on, if he maintained this for the rest of the season, he would score 152 goals this campaign. That's how ridiculous this start of the season has been for Haaland. He's tracking in all comps to 152 goals this season. We know he isn't going to do that.
My generational striker, yeah.
I mean, he is the best finisher the Premier League has ever seen. I just think it's undebatable now. What he's doing is ridiculous. The best goal scorer finisher ever. Yeah,
goal scorer. Yeah, not finisher though.
I see them both as the same thing. If you're the best finisher, you score the most goals. That's what I mean. Yeah, like it's you could argue some people strike the ball better than he does, but it's just ridiculous what that man's doing. So yeah, him up against Arsenal's defense this weekend is going to be an epic battle.
I think it's going to be a good one to watch because, to be honest, Saliba's had the better of him. And Saliba and Gabriel have ragdolled him the past couple of games. I generally think he's had some of his poorest performances in a Man City shirt against Arsenal. So for him, I think in the hot form that he is, it's going to be a big challenge. And because Saliba's just in just as good as form right now as well. But I think everyone's probably going to be looking at Haaland to have that bigger performance rather than Saliba or rather than Arsenal's defence per se, because as we've seen, Man City have had problems unlocking that last season. They didn't really have too much joy breaking through Arsenal's defence and Haaland especially. So I'm looking most forward to seeing if Haaland can actually step up and, do it against the bigger players. Because I'm not saying he's a small boy bully or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to put out there. But against what Saliba is, one of the better players. So Haaland calls himself the best striker in the league. All right, come up against one of the best centre-backs in the league. Are you going to perform? So far, he hasn't. We need to sit against the best players for you to start.
He did a couple of years ago, in fairness, in the treble-winning year. He scored against Arsenal home and away, didn't he?
You're talking about the 4-1 when you beat him 4-1.
Wasn't Saliba injured that day?
He scored it.
Yeah,
but he scored in both. No.
Saliba didn't play.
He scored in both games, though, George.
We're talking about his performances against Saliba nobbins, though, so that doesn't reflect.
But Saliba didn't miss both games.
Saliba played in one of the games.
Saliba missed the second.
I did say the most recent game. So the past 3 games you guys have played, he hasn't, has he? Scored.
But that's why I specified a couple of years ago. So the idea that he hasn't proven himself against Saliba, I think, is silly.
Well, because a couple of years ago, Saliba wasn't at the level that he is now. He's had 2 seasons under Arsenal at a higher level, and he's performed himself. That season
wasn't Saliba in the team of the season 2 years ago. I think it was fantastic.
2 seasons ago, in his first season in the Premier League.
Yeah, and he was brilliant.
I don't think he one of the best defenders the same level he did last year. He went a level up last year, and then right this season, correctly so, he's going up another level.
To be fair, 2 seasons ago, we were saying he's the best center back in the league. Well, not all of us, but a lot of people were saying that.
In his first season in the Premier League.
Yes, he was regarded as
you didn't hear Arsenal fans 2 seasons ago?
Best defender.
I think